Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new here. If you're a first-time viewer, my name is Francesca and I love building in The Sims. That's all you need to know about me. On this channel, I mainly post speed build videos in case you're interested and you want to subscribe. I'm not very consistent with my uploads, but I'm trying really hard. Another thing that you should know about me is that I'm very indecisive, and because of that, it takes me ages to finish a house. So if I disappear for a couple of weeks or even more, just know that that's because I'm working on a gigantic building. But moving on from that, let me tell you what I'm going to be building today. Today you'll see me building a big transitional family home in Windenburg. I'm gonna leave all the details regarding the lot that I'm currently building on in the description box below. This house ends up having 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, a mudroom slash utility room, a bar, a home office, a walk-in closet. I mean, you name it. This home really has everything that a family can dream of. The only thing that's missing is probably a gym or maybe a cinema room, but let's not ask for too much, okay? Being honest with you, I didn't intend to build something so enormous with so many rooms because I'm already working on a family farmhouse on a 64 by 64 lot. So I was a little bit done with big builds, but for some reason this house turned out really big, and because of that it took me longer to finish it than what I was expecting. I'm happy, I'm proud of the building, and I'm happy that I decided to go for such a big house because in the end I'm really proud of it. But yeah, as I said, it took me really long. But I haven't told you why I decided to put my other house on hold for this one. Basically, as you might know already, The Sims 4 released a new pack recently, which ends up being a stuff pack called the Home Chef Hustle. We haven't had a stuff pack in years, literally. It took them so long to release one that everyone was thinking we would simply not get any more stuff packs, only kits. However, recently the Sims team decided to surprise us with a brand new stuff pack called the Home Chef Hustle, and the new stuff pack looks really cool. It comes with new gameplay features and aspirations, which seem really fun because they require your Sims to run a side business which involves selling the food they cook, hosting food sales, and having food stalls where you can sell also pizza. Yeah, by the way, we have a pizza oven now in the game, which of course I had to place down in the backyard. It makes me so happy because I'm Italian, so I grew up eating a lot of pizza, and yeah, I also love making pizza. So the fact that now my Sims can make their own pizza in the oven, it just makes me so happy. But my favorite part of the pack as a builder is the new build and buy stuff that we got. We got new flooring, which I used in the bathroom, a new tile, which unfortunately I did not use. And I say unfortunately because I really like it, but I didn't use it because basically this house is on platforms. As you would have seen in the backyard, I was kind of playing around with platforms before, and basically I raised them I think 4 times inside the house as well, and because of that the tile didn't look good in the kitchen because the new tile doesn't go all the way up like almost all the tiles in the game, but stops halfway, and the rest of it is just plain white stucco. Now, because I have the platform raised 4 times in my house, it would cover basically the entire tile and you couldn't even see it. So there was no point using that. I hope it makes sense what I'm saying. If you have built with platforms before, you know what I mean. Basically, you can also make walls shorter with platforms. For example, in an apartment where you can't change the wall height, you can raise a platform and make the shorter. I'm now building using the medium wall height, but the walls look shorter because of the platforms, and because of that, even like the medium height windows and doors look like a little bit too tall for the walls. Anyway, all I wanted to say is that my favorite part of the pack is the new kitchen set. I'm going to talk more about it once we move on onto the inside of the house and I'm furnishing the kitchen. But basically, I want to say that the style of the new kitchen set is what inspired this build. As I said before, I wanted to put the other house that I was building on hold because I wanted to build something that would fit the style of the new counters. As I understood, the new stuff is inspired by European kitchen designs. Everything basically looks very modern and sleek, so I wanted to build something in that style, and that's why I decided to go for this transitional slash modern style, which is something that I don't think I've ever built before. Anyway, I think it's finally time to talk about the build itself. As you could see, the structure of the building has already come together. I mentioned this in one of my other videos, but I'm gonna say it again. When it comes to the main structure of the building, like the shell, I work on it off screen, and then once I decided what the house will look like, I pressed the record button. And so when I press it, I already know what I'm going to be building. This saves me a lot of time when I have to edit the video, and also I think it's less confusing for you to follow. And yeah, overall makes the video a lot shorter, because otherwise the footage would be like, I think, 2 hours long, and yeah, if I had to include all the different attempts, it would be really long, and as I said, it would be really confusing for you too, and it wouldn't be really nice to watch me going back and forth so many times, jumping from one thing to another. It's not fun, I know. So yeah, for me it works so much better this way, especially considering the fact that I'm so indecisive. Same thing for the wallpaper and flooring. Before I find a combination both for the inside and for the outside that really convinces me, it takes me ages, like sometimes even hours in real life, and you don't want to see that. So for the exterior, I kind of left the part where I was doing the wallpaper, but when it comes to the inside of the house, I normally tend to cut the part out when I do the wallpaper and the flooring. So you're gonna see that once we move onto the inside of the house, the floor plan and wallpaper and flooring are already done. I also want to mention that this house was inspired by a picture that I found on Pinterest, which I'm going to pop on the screen right now. Whenever I recreate a house that I find on Pinterest, I always tell you, and I always try to include a picture of the house if I still have it, because I don't want to get the credits for coming up with an idea when I actually didn't come up with that idea. You know, it's not my idea, it's something that I saw on Pinterest, and it's someone else's idea. I'm not that good at coming up with new build ideas, so I normally look on Pinterest for some inspiration. But yeah, beside this, I quickly want to mention the windows and wallpapers that I used on the exterior of the house. The windows I used are a combination of different windows from different packs. The big ones are from the base game. I've never used them, to be honest, but after hours and hours of trying out different window combinations, I decided that they look the best. Then we have the small windows with white trim that are from the university pack. Also, I think I've never used those windows because I'm not a huge fan of the thick trim that we have on the outside part of the window, and I tried to turn them around to see if the trim would look better, but honestly the trim completely ruined the interior part of the house, so I was like, I'm just gonna leave them like that. But now that I see them, they're kind of growing on me. Then I used another window which I almost forgot existed, and it's the parenthood window, which is the one I used where the garage portion of the house is, and above that window in the front I also placed down a roof piece from Cats and Dogs. Maybe this helps you identifying what window I'm talking about. And then we have two other small windows, one from the Snowy Escape pack, and if you have watched my previous videos, you know I'm obsessed with the windows from the Snowy Escape expansion pack. They're the best ones for me. And then the smallest window that I used is the window from the Ors Ranch expansion pack. Then there's also another window that I was about to forget to mention, and that window is the glass, kind of big glass window from the Industrial Loft Kit. That's also one of my favorite windows so far. Then in terms of doors, I also went for doors I've never used before. I feel like this is going to be the pattern throughout the entire house, which honestly makes me really happy because I like when I try out different things and I don't tend to go for like always the same swatches or the same windows as I tend to always do. But yeah, with this one, I really tried to branch out and choose from the catalog either stuff or swatches I normally don't tend to use in my builds. Anyway, the doors, as I was saying, are from two different packs. The front door is from the High School Years EP, and the other one in the back is from the University Expansion pack. I like them a lot because they look modern but not too much. Like, they're glass doors but not too much glass. I don't know if that makes sense, but some some doors have too much glass and I'm not a huge fan of them. They look way too modern for some houses, but I think these doors are perfect and I love the fact that I've never used them. Anyway, moving on from that. For the wallpaper of the exterior, I went for the brick from Cottage Living in a white swatch. Then we have stone from Horse Ranch and sidings also from the Horse Ranch EP. I love combining different wallpapers in different textures. I think it makes the house look more interesting. I do that also on the inside. Anyways, I now want to talk about my favorite part of this house, which is the back portion. First, I want to mention that I was inspired by a picture that I found on Pinterest, which I'm gonna pop on the screen right now. So I saw this picture and I was like, do you know what? Something like this I think would look absolutely perfect in the modern house I'm building. So I decided to build the backyard like in that picture. As you can see, there's quite a long swimming pool, and to get down to that swimming pool there are some steps. To achieve that look, I used platforms. That's why before I mentioned that the house was on platforms, because as I said, to achieve that look you have to use platforms, and so the house ends up being on multiple platforms levels, which is very annoying once you start furnishing and add clutter to the house. Basically what happens is that the clutter slots in weird places because of the platforms, but I really like how it looks on the outside. I also created a little covered area using the columns and the awning from the Desert Lux kit because I really wanted a patio where I could place down a pizza oven and a grill. So down there ends up being the grill from the Perfect Patio stuff pack and a new pizza oven placed on top of the new counter. So the way I basically build patio is this. I'm gonna explain it really quickly. First thing I do is to draw a platform, and then I place down 4 columns, and once I did that, I draw the fence all around the platform. And the fence that I used is the low line fence, which is like super slim, you can barely see it, and I think it's from the Get to Work EP. I'm not really sure though, I have to double check. And once I had done the fence, I basically fenced the entire platform. I delete the platform, so we are left with just the fence. And once I did that, I selected trim that I want. So in this case, I decided to go for quite a thick trim in black. And then once I did that, I picked the awning that I want to use. I always use the awning from the Desert Lux kit because I think it looks the best. And not that we have any other awning, I think that's the best one anyway. And I raise it until it reaches the right level, basically until it's kind of like inside the little frame that I built for the awning, if that makes sense. I hope I explained it correctly. But yeah, anyway, moving on from that, I also built a half wall to enclose the patio a little bit more because I wanted the grill and the counter to be like against a wall. And then as you walk down the steps, there is also a fire pit from the Little Campers kit and a couple of armchairs and a small couch from the perfect patio stuff bag. As you can see, I've already moved on onto the inside portion of the house for quite a while now. I quickly did the entry and the dining room. Real quick, there isn't too much to say about the entry. I placed down the side table from Seasons, and on top of it there are some clutter pieces. We have the marbled statue from the Modern Lux kit. We have some books, some plants. Above the side table we have the tapestry. I think that's what it's called. If I'm wrong, please correct me. That's from the Jungle Adventure. I didn't even know that thing existed, but I thought it looked very good in this place. And then we have the mirror from the Modern Lux kit, which I really love. And then we have some shoes, and that's pretty much it. Moving on onto the dining room, which is honestly one of my favorite rooms in this house in terms of color scheme. I just love the browns and the teal color accent from the rug. That rug is actually from the, I can't remember the name of the kit, but oh, the Decor to the Max kit. Honestly, guys, it's so hard to remember all the name of the packs and from which pack every item is from. And then we have a table which is from the base game, and the chairs, I also never used those chairs, and they're a little bit peculiar, I have to say, but I love how they look. They look a little bit retro in my opinion, but I think they look really good in there. And then we have a armchair from the new kit as well, from the Modern Lux kit. We have a big artwork from the Ors Ranch EP. And then let's move on into the kitchen, because the kitchen, I think it's kind of the main reason why I decided to build this house in the first place. First of all, I want to mention this thing that you would have seen me doing on one of the counters. Basically, I placed down this wicker basket from the Jungle Adventure game pack, and using a shelf from the Dream Home Decorator game pack, I placed inside the basket a lot of small tomatoes that you can find in the live edit menu. To access the live edit menu, you have to type a cheat, which I'm going to leave for you on the screen, because I can't remember it on top of my mind, and I have now a mod installed which basically activates all the cheats that I need. But if you're interested in the mod, I'm going to leave the link for the mod in the description box below. So yeah, I placed that basket full of tomatoes next to this object which we got with the new pack, which is basically a can of tomato sauce with some basil leaves and some cheese, and probably there are ingredients to make pizza, but I imagined that maybe the sim just bought some fresh tomatoes from the farmer's market and they're making the tomato sauce themselves. Now I want to give credits to Jessica Pye for the idea of placing the tomatoes inside that basket, because I didn't come up with it. She was the one that I don't know if she was the first one who did that, but I was watching one of her videos and she was placing like fruit and vegetables in that basket, and I was really inspired and I thought it was a really cool idea, so I decided to do it as well. But I wanted to let you know that I didn't come up with it. I placed down the new counters, of course, and the new appliances. I'm absolutely obsessed with the look of them, the swatches, and the way they fit together. Also, the new dishwasher fits perfectly, and we love that. I feel like I always need new kitchen stuff. It's never enough for me. I wish every pack would include a new kitchen set with counters, cabinets, an oven, and a fridge, or at least I'm talking about expansion packs, which are the top tier packs. I was personally gutted when I saw that the Growing Together pack only came with a new oven and a new fridge and not with counters. But anyway, I already talked about that in my other videos. But yeah, now we have a new full kitchen set and it looks amazing. As I said, I love all the swatches it comes in. Personally, my favorite is the one that I used in the kitchen, but I also can't wait to build something using the more fun swatches like the yellow and the light blue ones. I also used the dark brown swatch in this room that I'm furnishing, which is like a bar. Now, I had a spare room and I didn't know what to do with it, so I decided to turn it into a bar because it's something that I don't think I've ever done before. And I thought it was such a cool idea since we have new counters. I could, let's say, experiment with them a little bit more using different swatches as well. So I'm really happy with how that room turned out. I also love the fact that all the pieces fit seamlessly. Even the fridge, for the first time we have a fridge which is the perfect size. You know how with all the fridges that we have in the game, when you place them down next to the counter, there's always a little gap. That gap bugs me so much. I always try to alt place the fridge so I can get rid of that gap. But if you want to play with no cheats, let's say, or maybe some people who play The Sims don't even know about the alt placement cheat. And you know, they're left with that annoying gap, and I'm so sorry for them. I know that maybe some people don't even care, but personally, I find it a little bit annoying when I build. Anyway, with the new fridge, this doesn't happen anymore, and I hope that from now on, all the fridges that we're gonna get are gonna be the perfect size. Anyway, as you could see in the kitchen, I also placed down the small appliances we got with the new pack. We now have a mixer, which is something I've been wanting for a really long time. It's such a basic thing that so many people have in their kitchen, especially maybe bakers. I feel like it's so useful for them, but we didn't have it in The Sims for so long. We had a gigantic cupcake machine, but not a mixer. Oh, and by the way, now your Sims can bake cupcakes in the oven, so you don't have to place down that gigantic cupcake machine in your Sims house. But yeah, then I also placed down the new waffle maker, which is so cool. I love waffles myself, and I'm so happy they added a new machine to cook different types of foods. I feel like this adds a lot to the gameplay part of the game because yeah, it makes it more realistic. You know, like Sims is a simulation game, and whenever they add these small things into the game, I feel like it's a really big addition to me for some reason. You know, I really get excited for small things like that rather than getting excited for like maybe what people would consider bigger things. But for me, these are the small things that really get me excited, like the new kitchen scale that we got with a new pack. It's just a piece of clutter. It's not functional, but it's just something that really adds a lot to whenever you are building a kitchen and you're trying to make it seem more realistic and more lived in. But yeah, in the kitchen I also placed down the new shelves from the new kit. I love the fact that they have lights like the cabinets. I cluttered those shelves up using the new stackable plates, some books from the tiny living stuff packs. Also, I forgot to mention, but I also placed down the new cookbook. It's so cute. Again, another piece of clutter which makes everything more realistic. Moving on from the kitchen into the next room, which is the bar. I didn't know what to do with this room in the beginning, but then I was like, I could maybe turn it into a small bar. So I also had the chance to use the new counter in another swatch. I love the dark brown swatch that I used in there. I also love how the color scheme of this room turned out. It's really dark, and I love the fact that we have the lights on the new counters, which I think provide such a nice atmosphere like a real bar would have. I also tried to make it seem as if there are a lot of things that your Sims can choose to drink. I placed down that shelf with a lot of bottles on it from the base game, which is probably for a proper bar, but I feel like it fit really well there. And then I placed down the new shelves, and using again the shelf from the Dream Home Decorator pack, I cluttered them up using bottles from the Live Edit menu and other things. We also have some coffee bags. I tried to make it seem like a proper bar. Now, before I go any further, let me tell you that I ended up swapping the counters of the peninsula with a real bar, because when I stopped recording, I instantly thought, It doesn't make any sense to have a room that's like a bar without an actual functional bar. So I decided to add a bar later on, game pack, and then I also had the chance to use the new corner piece from the new pack. Basically, the corner cabinet of the new kitchen set is not an actual cabinet, but it's a shelf. And it's already cluttered up, and I really like that idea because it saves time as well. Moving on, I feel like after this room, it's time to mention a little bit the storyline I came up with for the family that lives here. Of course, you don't have to follow a storyline if you don't want to. It's just because most of the time I either come up with a background story for the family that lives in the house I build before I actually start building the house to, create a cohesive home which maybe reflects the personalities of the Sims that live there. And you know this really helps me to build the house, or sometimes the story comes up in my mind whilst I'm building. Sometimes, like in this case, I start building, I furnish the house, and maybe halfway through the process some item would trigger my mind to come up with a storyline. In this case, it happened whilst I was building the last room of the house, which ends up being the garage. Now, that wasn't really helpful, but also I came into this house knowing that I didn't care too much about the storyline. I was more interested in making the house look good. And let's say I was more concerned about the aesthetics of the house and also about having fun with it. And I really had the time of my life furnishing this house because, as I said before, I went for items and swatches that I normally tend to avoid. So I was really enjoying the furnishing process. But anyway, back to the storyline. Why the garage inspired the storyline? Basically, because in the garage I placed down the nectar making objects, which you'll see. First of all, I had no idea what to do with the garage. I already had a mudroom, a laundry room, so I was like, I'm just gonna place down those objects and turn the garage into almost like a cellar. And I thought this is perfect considering the fact that the family has a bar in the house with all those wine cabinets, which could be where they keep the nectar they produce for when the friends come over so they can try the nectar. And yeah, they can have like maybe a nice evening all together. So I started furnishing the garage, which, as I said, you'll see later. It's actually the last clip of the video, so you need to keep going until the end of the video if you wanna check that out. Anyway, when I was doing that, I started thinking also about the storyline, as I said. Basically, I imagined that the family that lives here is now kind of rich, considering that they can afford this house, which by the way costs almost 200,000 simoleons. I know it's really a lot of money, but yeah, however, this family hasn't always been this wealthy. They used to live in a small suburban home with their two kids. One day, one of the parents lost their job, and since the other parent was still at the beginning of their career, their salary wasn't very high. So the other parent has to find another thing to do to provide for the family. So they decide to start making nectar in their own small garage. At the beginning, they were selling the nectar only to their neighbors and locals, but then, since they were so good at nectar making, the nectar started to become really popular, and thanks to word of mouth of their first customers, they managed to expand their business, and now they are exporting their nectar worldwide. They now have different manufacturers in maybe different Sims worlds, and as their business begins to grow globally, they start to earn a lot of money until they're able to afford this house. Also, I imagined that they decided to move to this more secluded area of Windenburg because they want to stay kind of low-key. One of the reasons being that they have the recipe for this amazing nectar that they come up with, and Beside the other manufacturers, no one else knows the recipe. And they want to keep it a secret so they can't be the top ones in the industry. Also, I imagine that when they moved into the new house, they decided to keep their nectar making tools and move them into the new garage, and that's why they're still there. And still now they go inside the garage to experiment with new nectar flavors or new nectar ideas maybe to introduce on the market. And yeah, that's pretty much the storyline that I came up with. And I also forgot to say that the two kids grew up and now they're teenagers, hence why there are two teens bedrooms in this house. Now I'm going to stop talking about the storyline and I'm going to go back to talk about the house itself. As you would have seen, I did quite a lot of rooms already. I'm sorry I talked too much about the storyline and some other things. However, I feel like that if in my voiceovers I only talk about the objects that I'm placing down, it gets a little bit too repetitive. So I'm trying to mention the storyline if I have it, and also to talk about the new pack if it came out recently, like in this case. Anyway, as you saw while I was talking about the storyline, I finished the living room, the office room, the parent room, and I just finished the first teen's bedroom. Real quick, I want to say that this is my favorite bedroom. I love the color scheme in there. I used the wallpaper from the Decor to the Max kit, which I always want to use, but I never have the chance to because I feel like there's a time and place for that wallpaper. That room was kind of plant themed, as you saw, because I imagined that a teenager is into plants. They want to become a botanist and help the parents to discover maybe like a new plant to improve their nectar, but they're also into knitting. For some reason, I came into that room knowing that I wanted to use the nifty knitting stuff. I feel like I never use it, so for this room I was inspired to try to place down some stuff from that pack. I forgot to place down the bag of yarns, but I'm gonna go back and place it down next to the armchair. I also placed down the little lights from the little camper's kit on the two big mirrors. I thought it was a cute touch since those mirrors are very plain. And then the bed I went for, it's from the high school years expansion pack, as well as the chair and the chest of drawers. I also used above the bed cute shelves from the tiny living stuff pack because they come in a swatch which matches the bed, and instead the nightstands are from the modern luxe kit. As you would have seen, I used a lot the modern luxe kit in this build. The stuff from that pack fits so well with the style I wanted to go for. I used the wallpaper in the office room in the blue swatch, and I used the same swatch in the guest room that you didn't see because I decided to cut the part out, as well as the walk-in closet, other bathrooms, and the mudroom. Now I decided to cut those rooms out of the video because otherwise this video would have been way too long, like over probably 50 minutes with all the screenshots. So if you're curious to see those rooms, you can wait until the end of the video for the screenshots. Then in the parent room, which is the first room I furnished, I used the same wallpaper but in brown. I really like how the parent bedroom turned out. It's definitely not the biggest bedroom, but it's fine because I decided to leave the bedroom downstairs, which has got an ensuite bathroom, as the guest room because to me it made more sense. But you can use that room as whatever you want. It doesn't need to be the guest room, and the other room doesn't need to be the parent's bedroom. Then I also used the same wallpaper in the other teen's bedroom but in a pink swatch, which is honestly really cool because I love the pink combined with the gold. I feel like it makes the room looks a little bit more luxurious and a little bit more feminine as well. In this room I used again another bed from the high school years pack. I always tend to gravitate towards the high school years expansion pack whenever I do teenagers rooms. Obviously, because that pack is intended for teenagers, so it makes sense that you're gonna use that stuff for teens bedrooms. However, I really like it. I highly recommend that pack, to be honest. I use it all the time. Anyway, I also use the chest of drawers from the same pack. One small detail that I want to mention is that I placed down on one of the shelves from the Modern Luxe kit a penguin, which is from the Nifty Knitting pack. And I imagined that the other sibling needed the penguin and decided to give it to this sibling. and I thought it was a cute idea. Beside that, in that room we also have a keyboard just because I wanted to add some more skill building items in this house. I feel like there aren't many beside the nectar making station, but when I was furnishing this room I didn't know yet that I was about to place a nectar making station in the garage, so I was like, there aren't really many skill building items, so let me add a keyboard in this room. I also decided to place above the desk 3 shelves from the iSchool Year pack to make it seem almost like a built-in bookcase. Unfortunately, all of these teens got a laptop in the bedroom, so the other one I feel like either has to use this one or maybe the one in the office room. However, I imagined that since they like plants, they like to spend a lot of time outdoors, so maybe they don't need a laptop. However, you can add it if you wanted to. Anyway, I also placed down a backpack in one of the recent swatches they added with a new update recently. It's one of the cutest thing I've ever seen with the watermelons on it. I know there's a lot of pink going on in this room, but I really like how it turned out. Anyway, as you could see, I quickly furnished one of the bathrooms. I decided to include the footage of that particular bathroom because it's my favorite. I absolutely adore the color scheme in there. I used the new tile from the new stuff pack in that black swatch, and basically that bathroom is divided into 2 rooms. As you could see, in one room we find the sink and the toilet. Then there's a big archway from the Horse Ranch EP which leads you into another room where the shower is. That shower is from Seasons, and in that same room there are also some shelves from the Home Chef Hustle stuff pack with some bathroom clutter on them. Moving on into the last room, which is the garage. I already talked about this room a lot before, but I quickly want to explain what I did with that side table that I just pulled out from the catalog from the Horse Ranch EP. On that table, I placed down the same basket from the Jungle Adventure pack that I used in the kitchen, and I'm gonna fill it up with a lot of grapes because I imagined that they were just harvested and they're ready to be turned into nectar. Also, in the 2 little holes that you can see at the bottom of that table, I'm gonna place down the set of bottles from the base game to make it seem as if they stuck some nectar together and it's ready to be tested. And I also placed down a couple of glasses on that table to make it seem as if they're doing some taste testing. Anyway, this is it for today's video. I hope you guys like it. If you did, please leave me a like and subscribe to my channel. This build is going to be on my gallery. My gallery ID is in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna see you in my next video. Bye!